There's a block.
This is overtime pay on Saturday.
Oh, yeah,
Okay, well,
absolutely.
that's what I thought.
Block it.
Yeah.
That's the best thing to do, I'm serious.
How are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, this seems
No,
quite nice.
it's gonna really eat at you.
Get baseball on right here.
Now we're getting.
Huh?
It's a long process. We have
Yeah, we need
that.
to get some.
That'd be
Two
awesome.
kids,
I
five
was just
kids.
looking at it the other day. Yours is kind of bad. This one's pretty, it's, there's stuff all over the floor.
He couldn't make two teams.
So.
It wasn't enough. So we ended up.
Hey, Amy.
And we are being.
Yes, ma'am.
Our seven decided
On the fire
they-
territory, I know it's raining there. What would you,
So it
what
was
do you want me
down
to do? Am I gonna present something?
No, I
Or
just-
Year every other
I'm
practice.
here if you've got questions. Is that what
You
this
can just
means?
say, I wanna know if you're still interested, you got any questions, and I printed
Yeah,
all that
then we got-
email stuff, I printed all that, so they can look over
Okay.
at their leisure. so.
Okay,
I was
okay,
reading.
awesome. I just wanna make sure.
Sorry.
Totally.
So,
Hey, Mike, did you guys inspect that candy shack or concession stand?
I didn't get down there.
It is asphalt shingles on there.
Oh, is
On
it?
the
It does?
concession stand. Not that they looked bad, but it is.
Well,
asphalt.
you said you have stuff you can donate, right?
I did. That's what I said, you can have those.
the worst part's sides of it,
If you're not gonna replace it,
the
then
holes.
cover the whole thing with metal,
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here.
Yeah, where the,
that's what I say.
they lifted open, the whole, like, it's all busted apart there and rotted there.
Came up with
I
that.
think
This
that's
is
where
like
mice
a
and stuff
capital
are getting
D.
in because,
Here's by
yeah.
the years,
They
where's
get
the-
in.
everything.
Well,
that
that's
they
true, but
have, you know,
that's their
the
easy
value
access.
Yeah.
And
It
when
doesn't
it
help,
expired
right?
and how old it is. We only have
Almost
4
like
things on
Coon
there
being
that we
bubble.
know,
Right.
or 5, but that kind of gives you, and then life expectancy.
No, I
And
told
down
my
here,
guy.
it shows you what our cash
Have
balances
full
are
green
and
shingles.
what they would be after we.
If somebody needs to re-shingle, they can have them do it, but. Okay, we're going.
That was a good picture.
Put metal all over the whole thing, you never have to mess with it again.
Well, you know, I mean, the structure itself is sound. The framing of it is sound. The cement's
We got one
thick.
here.
Nothing's gonna happen to it. Yeah, if you could,
Was that
honestly, if a
this
person
morning?
metaled the outside, I think it'd last a few more years easily.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, that would be redone.
Yeah, no signature or anything on it.
But if you make it out of metal, it'll be a lot lighter.
Right. Yeah, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Oh, okay.
Somebody must have spoken this morning about it.
Okay. That is,
I have no idea. Oh, I don't know what it says.
About the closest you could get is, I think.
I can.
Metal it and spray
Okay.
it inside. As tight as you get it.
The seal around that door.
I just got my understanding.
That's what I was gonna say, like the rubber
Yeah.
plastic around it when it's shut.
That's what you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody must have said that they said it anonymously because they can't.
So mine, I think,
Carries a little more weight if you put your name.
just metal. Originals.
Somebody left the letter.
Okay.
Wood almost like.
Ooh, yeah.
Cause if
Yeah,
it didn't,
you don't,
wind,
Usually,
noise and
I mean, you
everything,
never,
it'd
you
be
don't take them
terrible.
very serious if they don't have someone's name on it.
Exactly.
Wood,
Your
It
place,
says 9.
I don't know what it is. Hard sheets of that stuff. You might want to make a door out of that.
I can get signal in here.
You got green.
Ready? This meeting is being video recorded, so if by your presence here, you are giving your permission to, for us to videotape it, so. Let's be in order, please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Approval of the minutes of the last meeting. Any additions or corrections?
I didn't see anything, Tricia.
No, I did not. Look good.
Have a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
I'll second that. Motion been made and second to approve the minutes of the last meeting. Those in favor?
I
Aye.
None opposed. Motion passes. Publication of claims, I will make a motion to pay the claims as presented.
Second.
Motion been made and second to pay the claims as presented. Those in favor?
Aye.
So we're gonna skip on down, Larry. The IMPA survey contract, you got some information for us?
You can sit down right there.
I made a spreadsheet for what comes back, so. So Amy asked me to look at some numbers, to see what your effects would be if you do this input. And it's always hard to project things like this.
Right.
Very difficult. So these are just general talking points. So what I did was I took the top of this first sheet, the income and expense the last 4 years, and then I did an average of those. And I scheduled those on the bottom, on the left-hand side, with assuming no income, no changes in income. So the expenses, I had to factor in your projected contract input, offset by the amount that you've been paying to input, that they need to come out on a piecemeal basis. So you wouldn't have that, because that's gonna be in the contract. Then I figured in a 4% inflation factor on expenses. And I come up with that your cash balance would go down by almost 200,000, more or less. Because that's what's gonna happen. I go to the second page real quick, and I come back to the first page. But you're gonna be getting assets, significant assets. And when we updated the assets about 5 years ago, because the board of accounts wanted to, I did that. And I projected that your assets roughly 750,000 at that time. And then also projecting what I think that they're going to be, the poles and transformers and so forth that I'm replacing. And the assets will increase by 500,000, I don't know.
Yeah.
500,000, I don't know. But it'll be substantial. And then go back on the first page. So if you're concerned about the fact that cash balance would go down by roughly 200,000, on the right-hand side, I just not suggesting that you do a rate increase. I'm just saying that if you did do a rate increase, thought about a rate increase, to offset that, I used a total of 40% split 8% a year for 5 years, which means you would actually increase your cash by quite a bit. If that thing's the same. And I thought about this later, anticipating my question of what about if we just raise the rates enough to cover this additional expense we're going to have? And then I just kind of did a rough calculation that it would be more like 3%.
Over 5 years.
Over the 5 years, not 3% and then 3 more and then 3 more, just 3% total.
Period.
Just 3%, roughly. Then I didn't do a rate analysis, I don't mean that. I just did some rough numbers, switch some numbers around, see where they end up. And if you were worried about that, that would be potential, but I think it'd be roughly 3, give or take. This help any?
Yeah. 3% period.
Yeah, just when I say 3%, I don't mean 3% and then 6% and then 9%.
Right, I get
3%
Just
over the 5
3%.
years. And
But not 3% just this year, but 3% each year.
each year for 5
Not
years.
an additional 3%. Does that make sense?
We haven't raised rates since 2009.
Yes.
And we had a rate study and they told us, in order to catch up, we should be 40%. So that would be like, no.
Yeah, so
So that's where he's getting,
that's where I got the 4%, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And that's kind of high, but that's.
yeah, that's a lot. That's because we never have,
Yeah, we,
we should have been
A little
doing
bit
it
each
a
year,
little bit
yeah.
each year, but you don't have to do that. He's saying,
definitely
Right.
do need a rate study.
Just- Again, these are just numbers, just give you things to think about.
Right.
The hard decision making, just any numbers you have in front of you.
And you didn't project, I know when Donnie retires, which we don't know when that's gonna be, there will be additional funds available.
Right, but we don't know,
Yeah, we don't know when, where, how.
is this contract is a 5-year contract,
Yes,
right?
it is.
So so many unknowns. I mean,
Yeah.
if something like that happened right in the middle of all this, then that would change everything dramatically.
Exactly, yeah.
Questions?
I still wonder what the real savings is for going with this contract versus just calling IMPA when we need something done. Just doing it à la carte.
I think part of it was, because those were some of my questions too, at one time, like replacing all the poles and stuff like that. I think it ended up being, I mean, the amount that we would spend on that alone was like astronomical. And
But I mean, we can still do that à la carte, right?
yeah, but it would cost more. Like all the stuff they were going to do that they talked about in that meeting would have
Yeah.
ended up costing more than what it would cost to do the contract.
So it costs more per pole by doing it à la carte versus per pole by
Yeah.
contract?
Yeah, well, and they do it is at a cheaper rate than if we go out and hire one of the other commercial places.
Well, yeah, but I mean, IMPA services are poles and stuff now, right?
Yeah, but one thing to keep in mind, IMPA's big. And
I understand.
so they can buy such a volume discount for them to buy poles and transformers significantly less than if Ladova bought them.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, we can hire you to come in and change poles and transformers, just the same as are you telling me the contract, if we have this contract that you charge us less per pole than if we just call you and say we get somebody hit a pole and broke it and
Because
we
we
need
have
it
to buy the
replaced?
poles and the transformers ourselves.
And
We can't get them
this
from,
is, the
they
the
won't-
pole inspections are part of IMPA's normal maintenance.
right, I understand
Where
that.
they're out there, every month or so and looking at poles and
Yeah.
everything, so.
I have yet to see the real, haven't seen those numbers, laid out and stuff,
I
but
think part of it too, when we were talking before, was the priority of having access to them. Like if a really bad storm hits, tornado comes to town, wipes all the power out, we're
I
gonna
don't-
be in line ahead of everybody else.
I didn't understand that to be a thing. I thought,
Is that
I mean,
not-
because
No, it is.
IMPA serves our power, they want to get us back up, I would hope,
True, but
as soon as they can regardless, because
Yeah,
they're
but
our
they're gonna
service
have-
provider.
with limited service like that as some sort of a catastrophic thing, we get priority. The members the members that are signed up to IMPA service contract. We don't-
But if everybody's a member, it really doesn't matter, does it? You still pull out.
Because there are 60 other members.
That's what I said, so if everybody has it and you're still just one of the 60 that's down, so they'll get you when they get you.
Well, not all
No.
those 60 are in this program.
Right.
Oh, well, I
That's what
thought
I'm
that's
saying.
what he just said, that 60.
No.
Yeah,
No.
there's 60 members that use IMPA, but not all of them have this.
Service contract.
Service
How many have the
Yeah.
service contract?
I think they've got like,
Forget how many
what
there
are
were.
like 15 or so
Yeah,
right
I
now.
was thinking it was 12 or 13, I didn't remember, but yeah.
I don't know.
And they do have a garage or whatever with people stationed there in Advent, so it is close.
Right.
And that's a lot of money, so
It
that's
is.
why I had Larry do that, because I
Yeah,
didn't
appreciate
feel
that.
comfortable saying, oh, sure, we can do that. So with him doing that hopefully would,
I mean, we can do some more math on it. I mean, do we have a count on the poles in town?
Yeah.
I'm sure they do, yeah.
Accurate count?
He's probably had it.
I got a pen. I did not go around each pole. There's a marker each pole, you can tell how old they are. I did not go around for each one of them when I did your assets, because it would have cost quite a bit of money for me to do that. We didn't think it was worth it at that time. So working with the guys, we took an average. So you got the numbers, and I wanted you to see this. Is right now you have, pretty small, didn't it? Let's say you've got 360, 44 poles, 44 foot tall poles.
Mhm.
And And then you got some taller poles, I don't have a separate listed, 150 three-phase transformers, 3-phase pad mount. Those are the ones that are just above the ground a little bit. And then 15 three-phase, like at the big industrial, like at Dollar General, whatever. And then 175 single-phase. And then you got the material for the poles, which is the wiring and the service to the house and everything like that. Just, those are your counts. And then 546 services, or 540 services, give or take. And then the cost we used when we did this 5 years ago at that time for those is where we come up with the numbers.
That's when you did the assets.
Yeah, I did that for about 5 years ago. The board of counting the occupants in, and they didn't have any questions on any of this, I don't think. So those are pretty good numbers. I want to make sure you had that, so you see what.
So you guys can,
Yeah, we don't have
Something to work with and-
today, but it's
Yeah.
just some
get you some numbers.
more information. I guess we need to look at. Because I know IMPA adjusts their contract prices and stuff every year as far as, so everything's gonna go up. It's not gonna get any cheaper.
Mhm.
Nothing else is. Okay, so we'll table this, but Larry, thank you for that. That's really interesting, a lot of information there. Utilities. Hey, no one's here. Okay. Legal, he's not present. Law enforcement's not present. Ken?
I get bonus points for showing up.
You do.
Make up for being late last week.
We're the only ones that didn't sleep on. You?
Thank you, sir. These are the roads and the cost estimates. Oh, did I give you one? Oh. You want one? So those are the roads that were put on the list, and the second page is the summary with the match. The detailed cost estimates, we assumed a 2-inch surface grind, profile milling, and then we mill around structures and approaches. So it'd be smooth, and when they put the pavement down, it'd be flush again. We assumed we'd replace 2 stop signs per street, put stop bars in there. That way some of your signs can start getting replaced, and we do thermoplastic on the pavement markings for the stop bars. And then all the other associated items. So that's the price. If you guys wanted to move forward to the next round, it's July 5 to 30. And they make awards sometime in September, early October. They're getting them out quicker now because of uncertainties in the governor's office. This round, they made announcements at the end of February, and they want bids by the end of April. So I'm assuming they do something similar where you would be, ready to go by October, which can still pay. Might have to wait till the spring.
Does this include any of the patching?
There should be patching on some of the cost estimates.
Okay.
Is there a couple, let me check, maybe line items of patching?
Yeah, there is. It's included in all of them. So.
So we've got 25 tons, we grind down further, down, to the 2, we go 4 or 5 inches, and then we fold that asphalt back up. You have to do a little diagram of the street to show them.
And then, did you say that it's a possibility that they might stop doing this?
There is that possibility, or they may put restrictions on it. What I heard, you probably have received emails from your clerk treasurer network they want town to do a will tax. Have you seen that?
I have.
They make you do a will tax, I'm not sure how they implement that. No data on how many wills you've got in town, but maybe you get it from the county. There's changes coming,
Yes.
like, Bob Dylan used to say, changes are coming. Tell my age. I was a kid when that was on.
Yeah.
Very
Denise done,
very,
so.
very.
I think it was like around reruns lately.
Yeah, that's it.
There's a lot of reruns, so we'll go with that.
Funds available.
Mhm.
Okay. Good.
The other things, we turned in your agreed order one last time. I think probably next time we're gonna have to do a more comprehensive, report. I think I copied everybody on it. We detailed what you did at the lift station and that you're operating your plant as efficiently as possible, and I think you are now. I don't see Justin here. So, but, we should probably do something more like start metering those manholes to find sources of infiltration. And then they submitted a detail on protecting your force main, which is gonna be under that bridge, and I told them it's not good enough, so they sent back a more comprehensive detail. And I think what they're proposing, and I'll be there, and Donnie will be there, it'll protect your force main. But then Donnie's gonna hold off on doing anything until all this traffic gets out of town, so it'll probably be in May or something before they start doing that work. Just based upon hearsay conversations with Donnie. That's all I got.
You knew about the oversized loads that's been going through.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's why there's a sign down there.
Yeah, and if they close this down, or one lane, it's
Yeah.
not gonna be good.
Do we know why that is happening as far as the oversized loads were? Where are they
74.
coming from?
74 is one lane
Yeah, they got one lane restrictions
Okay,
on
that's
between
74.
Crawfordsville and somewhere,
Yeah, I wondered what was
Jamestown or something.
going on with that. I'm like, every day I'm like, I've never seen this.
Yeah.
Like, where-
Every day we have several.
Yeah.
5:15 every day.
You answered the
5:15,
question.
I have to follow them all the way into town.
Oh, no.
Yes, sir. There's a loaded tire, so.
It's crazy.
So do we want to move forward with that? Have Ken move forward with getting,
Not through town.
Yeah.
Legal.
so I'll make a motion. Authorize Ken to move forward with applying for the grant.
I'll second.
Motion made in second to have Ken move forward with our looking into the grant for the street repair. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed, motion passes. Public concerns? Anybody? Anything? Wow, all right. We'll kind of skip the concession stand right now and move on to the fire territory. Amy?
Want me to be here or up there?
Whichever
Whoever's-
you wanna do.
Okay, I'll just sit here. So on the fire territory, I'm here for Clark Township, and David Orwick's our president of Clark Township. We're to that point, we've already had the study done. We've had time to review that. Clark Township is ready to go forward with the next step for the fire territory. I'm here to answer any questions that you guys have on it, but want to find out your commitment level for going to the next step.
I have questions because I've been looking into some things with billing for you guys. And I got some answers today, this morning. So how will that affect, like, I don't know what the other, who else is in this? Is it just Walnut or?
Right now, the only one that's committed totally is Clark. Walnut and New Ross have a meeting this next week.
Okay, okay.
So by the end of April, we will know if New Ross and Walnut do want to be part of it or not. If you looked at, Amy, did you have the summary? Did they get the summary sheet?
I gave them everything that you
Okay,
said.
okay. If you notice, if by chance New Ross and Walnut do not go into it, it really doesn't hurt. It actually is a little bit better for us, percentage wise, just like 1% difference. So if they're in it or they're not in it, it's not gonna affect us.
Okay.
So, given that we don't know what they're gonna do, but if they choose not to, we could still go forward, and we're not gonna be worse for that.
Okay. So this may or may not affect anything, but I was looking into Reggie and I spoke, and he said he had looked into things about billing and kind of hit a wall, because he was told certain things. Those things were not true. I have an email from Homeland Security saying that was not true. You can make obviously the state fire chief has kind of recommendations on what rates, that you can bill for. But you can make your own as well. Dave can help you do that if you want. So I didn't know how billing would affect.
And this is new conversation, so explain to me what you're talking about billing.
Okay, so like, say they make a run to the recovery center or whatever the case may be.
It's not a
They get there-
hypothetical.
They get there
Yeah.
first, and they transport somebody to Crawfordsville.
Crawfordsville does, yes. We don't transport.
We don't.
You don't transport at
No, we
all?
don't have
No.
an ambulance, we don't.
Okay, but you're first on scene, let's
Right.
say. You can bill for,
Right.
say, fire alarm or whatever it is. If you're first on scene, you can bill. So it's just one of those things where I'm trying to look into how they can get some money to
Beyond,
help with equipment costs and
Right.
replacement costs, that kind of thing. Because they do, I live on Main Street. I hear it all the time. You guys are going,
See,
going.
I believe at one time, the fire department used to bill,
They did.
but like, I know it's a thing, or it used to be a thing, like if you bill an insurance company for a structure fire
Mhm.
and the insurance sees that it is a volunteer department, the insurance does not have to pay that department because they are volunteer. They are not a professional department. They are just a state-funded volunteer department. So I think that's where it kind of ended, was they were sending out bills years ago and they were never getting paid.
Okay.
And you
Well, we can
can
have Dave
try to
maybe-
go after them and try to get the money, but at that point you were putting out more in time and things like that than you were actually making from sending the bill. So I think that's where it kind of quit. And then EMS, they phased out their billing, I think, at one time. I don't know on that side. But I know it's been talked about multiple times, but I don't know
Well,
what.
maybe we can talk to Dave and
in-depth
see if
it's
any laws or anything have changed as far as that goes, or I can try to look into it a little bit too before I reach out to him and bother him with it. But, it was just something in my head with you guys talking about how often you're down there.
Right.
To try to help with costs associated with that and what
I
have
think
you.
we're up to like 40 some runs down there.
Yeah, I
already
started
this
saying
year.
I have the list and
It's crazy.
I did meet with him and we can talk about that after we're done with the fire territory thing, but, say we get all this sorted out and they're able to bill again and get some money coming in, how, can you figure out what that entails as far as going into a territory with another?
so how that would, the territory could, if that's available, once you form the territory could then do the billing for that and collection. Is that what you're asking?
Well, yeah, I just didn't know, like, Clark Township, Ladoga, they're separate things, so, right?
Once you become a territory, you're one.
Right, but, as far as, I guess they would have to decide that as a board or whatever they're gonna do. Who gets, new equipment or, you know what I mean?
As far as if New Ross.
How the money is,
That's all, so, and you're talking if New Ross and
Yeah,
Walnut were in
because
it. Okay.
I think we talked about that meeting, you guys have outdated equipment and equipment that just needs replaced, period, and,
Yeah, and actually while we're talking about that, I ran some spreadsheets last night. I was talking to Reggie about all of our capital needs, when things expire, how much approximate cost, what kind of equipment do we have, all those things, and put it on, a cash flow sheet. And I'll go ahead and stay up here now. Because because I think this gives you, this is just on the capital needs, this is not on the operating side. And I think it's always helpful to see things in black and white. And these are at today's cost, and they're approximate today's cost.
You're gonna guesstimating that the main engine would last until 2031?
We're hoping,
Yeah, well, definitely, yeah.
that's it, it's
Yeah.
your
You never know.
guesstimation. Everything is kind of like, you're hoping you can maintain it to that point. Like you notice life expectancy, Reggie had said, most all equipment's gonna have a 30-year life. And you can see we're beyond that with most of this, or will be. So we're pushing the limits, especially on the brush truck, and they just had a breakdown on it and had to put some money into it to keep it going. But we're already at 50 years old of brush truck, so
Is that all?
good
Good Lord.
We've had a lot of brush fires too
Yeah.
recently. So, I mean, that's gonna happen every year. So we're saying, hey, maybe we can push it out till 2028. We can kind of keep it limping along. But we may need to put about 200,000 into purchasing, not necessarily a new one, but a good used one, or, whatever the best option is at the time. So we're guesstimating 2028 is when we're probably at that breaking point. Doing a territory would start in 2027. Okay, whatever, if you decide to do a territory, the funding comes in 2027. You notice down here at the bottom though, I just went this as current, not territory. We get in $33,000 a year in cumulative fire fund, which is that 0.0333 rate on Clark Township. So that's showing that money coming in, and that's all the money coming in. On the study, it shows going with a territory, and I'm just gonna look at scenario 3, which is just Clark and Ladoga, just get apples to apples. If we form a territory, we can bring in about 45,000 a year versus 33. And why that is because currently Clark Township residents pay that 0.0333. Ladoga residents do not. So we contract with you and you guys give us money, but nobody, the property taxes are not taxed on Ladoga residents at the 0.0033 or 0.0333 for this cumulative fire fund. You look baffled.
I just think I don't understand why that is.
That's the law. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah,
It doesn't
yeah.
make sense to me.
I know. Because, and I think the way it was set up, townships are set up to be the providers of fire protection. Doesn't mean a town doesn't need fire protection, but they gave them the responsibility of fire protection, but didn't give them the full, okay, if we're gonna have fire protection for the whole area, why wouldn't we tax everybody in that? But it's not. And if you go to territory, then you are. Everybody becomes equal in a territory. Residents incorporated and outside incorporated become equal in that taxation completely. So, but you can look at if we were to put in, and I should have ran this spreadsheet on this, but if we did 45,000, that's going to help our bottom line, but it's probably not going to solve the problem. What's going to end up happening for the difference there is because we've gone territory and we've increased our operating budget, we take some of that operating budget, we set it aside for these capital needs also. So that's where you make up the difference. Right now, just to give you an idea, the levy that Clark Township gets annually for operating is a little over $7,000. That's it. And the history on that was back in the 80s, the township decided they had enough money and didn't want their taxpayers to pay as much, so they cut their levy in half. So back then, it was about 7,000. So 45 years ago, the levy was about 7,000. They dropped it in half, saved their taxpayers. Well, the way that the tax system is set up, you can only grow that levy back according to the state growth factor, which is typically anywhere from 2 to 4%. So you can see it has taken us 45 years to get back to what we were in the 80s. If you look at Walnut Township, they're bringing in about 30,000 a year in operating. Scott Township about the same. So you can see where we're at. We're bringing in 7,000. They're bringing in 30. So that again tells you why that we see a huge need for this. And talking with the state and the DLGF, the only way to fix that levy is by territory. We can't go in and say, they did this to us and now we need to fix it. Can't. The only way you can do it is by territory. So we know with just bringing in $7,000 a year plus the capital, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. Prices go up. The things are going up. Insurance is going up. Utilities are going up. We're not going to be able to sustain this. And the only way we can, for Ladoga and Clark, fix this is go territory.
Glad you made that spreadsheet. That's
Sometimes black and white, just
Yeah.
it really just,
It comes down to what she's wanting to know, if you are still interested in moving forward.
I got a question. So how much does the town pay the township now? You say we're contracted. You mean the town pitches in so
right,
much money. How
Right.
much does the town give?
80,000?
So would we continue doing that?
no.
No, we wouldn't have to.
Basically what happens is with the territory, what they normally put in, the state will say, we're gonna reduce your budget by that amount.
Okay.
What Clark normally had coming in, they'd reduce ours. And instead of us getting that money, it goes to the territory. So there no longer will be, they pay us and then we take care of it. It'll be, Ladoga pays the territory, Clark pays the territory into a, we're gonna say it's got its own separate bank account. That money goes in there. It does reduce Ladoga's tax rate and it reduces Clark's tax rate. But now you've got a tax rate for a territory. So it's its own separate unit.
Okay.
And then that money all stays with fire protection 100%. Does that answer your question?
Kind of hard to tell without like the figures your guys are looking at in front of me, but that's. So is the bottom line changing much between the territory? Okay, so you're getting what, 35,000 you said the township is now,
33.
or 33, and plus, say in round numbers, the town's 80. So how does that, what is that, 120 or 110, 113,000? How does that number gonna change by going to a territory?
Territory, you have the ability to set a new budget and a new number. So you go through and there's been planning done to look at what do we need in our fire territory? What do we need for the fire department to continue providing the services that are expected and needed? And there's several different things that have been looked at, but basically we put together a budget that says we need to address maybe some personnel costs. We need to address some training. We need to be prepared for increases in insurance. We need to be prepared for increases in apparatus. So what you do is you go out and you go, okay, and this wouldn't go into effect until 27, okay? So we look and we have to project and go, this is a one-time opportunity for us to set a new tax levy based upon what that territory needs. And we looked out 5 to 10 years and said, what are we expecting? Because if we go in and say, we only want what we're getting now, it serves no purpose.
Well,
But-
that's why that was my question.
Yes, it's
So-
gonna be higher because we've gone through and done a budget that said, this is what we anticipate,
Right.
these are the needs. Volunteers are becoming less and less, so we're
Sure.
gonna have to address
So
that.
bottom line, our tax basis will go up then by going to the
Yes.
territory.
Yes,
That was,
yeah,
okay, that's
Yeah.
what I was trying to get.
they go down, territory goes up, overall.
Overall, we're going up though.
Overall, you will go up,
Okay,
there's nothing, yeah,
that's what I was trying to get.
yep,
But even if we stay as it is. that
Well, I'm
money's
not
gotta
saying
come
it
from
doesn't
somewhere,
have to
so-
raise, 'cause I
Right,
haven't
right,
seen, I
right.
know things cost more, but, as assessments go up, those numbers should go up. So that's what I don't see, why the percentages should go up. Because because I know what my house assesses for, and it's like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about there. And it's like when you sell a house with a realtor, they want bigger percentage. It's like you're getting more money because now it's a $200,000 home instead of a $100,000 home.
But with what's going on in the state legislature, who knows what the tax rates are gonna be. They say they're gonna cut them some, but all the
Yeah,
taxing
that's-
units are gonna be short.
So, yeah,
right, right.
so,
And I do know, per the last revision, they were stating that fire territories could not be over 0.41. Our rate is less than that, it's less than 0.3. So if we go forward, we're not in jeopardy of being kicked out. I don't know if you've been following the news in Danville, their rate's at 0.80 for their new territory. So they're really stressing about what's gonna happen because they just passed this for next year and their rate is 0.80. So, but ours is, if you look on here, if it's just the two of us, it's 0.82. If it's with Walnut and New Ross, it's
Right.
0.29. So we're way under that. So that's good. That's good news on that one.
So, let's say the main engine goes out, just have one, right?
Yes, we have an engine and a rescue pumper.
Let's say the main engine goes out, and Amy has that estimated to cost, what, $1,250,000?
That's what Reggie
Where's
said.
that money come from right now? If we don't go to a fire territory, where's that money come from?
We're gonna be looking at the town for more money. We're going to be
feed suppers.
figuring out how we borrow.
Going
Um,
forward,
Figuring
it
out
or-
what
doesn't
you
matter.
have to-
Or you go to the point where if this all-star breaks down and we don't have the money, we have to close down
We
the
just-
fire department.
Right.
And we're gonna have to contract with Crawfordsville if they would take it. But then now we know our response time has gone to
Right.
15, 16 minutes at the
Minimum.
best. And that's on a fire, that's on a heart attack.
Right.
Yeah,
In that meeting we had this summer at the fire station, did we say there's no way that some of this money just can't be absorbed through the town? Tank, breathing apparatuses, tanker, brush truck, things that need updated, there's no way to recoup that just through the town.
mm-mm. And you guys are maxed out.
Right.
I know your budgets and I know your figures.
Mm.
I mean, you guys are very generous in what you have put into fire protection and what you are putting in. I mean, compared to what I can put in, you guys put in the majority of it.
Mhm.
And it's, again, goes back to that $7,000 and what happened years ago. You guys have been making up the difference. This kind of levels the playing field a little bit between Ladoga and Clark Township because we're gonna bring that a little bit closer to make up for that. You guys still will, initially, where you are now is you'll lose going forward, but you're not going to be giving up more and more because it'll be part of the territory. You know what I mean? That makes sense.
Yeah, I was on the council here when we bought that big gallon truck, and, yeah, they pay cash for it then.
Do you remember what that truck was, Mike, price wise?
Gosh, I don't, but a small percentage of what a new one.
Well, I know,
Yeah.
which, I mean, theirs was basically a cookie cutter truck. It wasn't anything special order
Right.
or fancy, but I'm pretty sure the number I was told was Crawfordsville just paid right around 1.5 million for their engine they got 2 weeks ago. And that was a basic, I mean, it's nothing special. It's a red and white basic commercial cab.
And in fact, a little bit later, they were sorry they paid cash for it because they had some problems with it. And the company didn't wanna jump right on it and get them fixed, so, yeah. But, yeah.
Well, and you know, if you look at the spreadsheet too, radios, I was talking to Reggie,
Yeah,
they're not cheap, and the state's overdue on saying, they keep saying we're gonna be changing, you're gonna have to upgrade. So we don't even, that's why there's no date there, because we don't know when that's coming. And that still affects that bottom line. And again, these are capital needs. We've got just operating needs, insurance is unbelievable, the amount of insurance we need to carry for the fire department.
We carry it now through the town, right?
No, we do not.
You get the trustees office
Mhm.
done?
Yeah,
That's part of the money that we give them.
right.
Oh,
So they'll
gotcha,
pay for that.
okay.
Yeah, I write the checks now. You guys write one check to me, and then I write all the individual checks. And I think it's worked wonderful.
Mhm.
I think it's worked really good.
No brainers.
exactly.
We need to go with the fire territory.
Yeah, I agree. It's, where the future's going.
Do you
No way
mind
around it.
taking a vote so that it's in the
Yeah, that's a good
minutes?
idea.
Then that way, I feel, and just so, and it was in the, I think in the information before, I shared, to go forward, the next step to complete is 23,500. We will divide that by the number of units going in. If it's just the two of us, we'll just divide it by the two of us. If it's a four, then we can divide it by four. With the study, we included the fire departments, and the fire departments paid, except for Walnut has not yet. I'm still waiting for the fire department to pay. But if we go to a territory, I don't feel like we ask the fire departments to pay because the money they get is from us anyway. So why would we go give us back the money? You know,
Mhm.
it doesn't make sense. So it would be the participating unit, so.
I'll make a motion, we go forward with establishing a fire protection territory.
I'll second that.
Motion made in second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed.
Thank you very much, guys. I'll keep you updated all along because there'll be more steps to go.
Right. The meeting in Walnut Township or is when?
It's Tuesday, if anybody would like to go. Because I will tell you right now, there's a lot of opposition, so,
Yes.
And Walnut,
yes, yeah,
really?
yeah.
Why is that? I mean, what is their fear?
I thought they were on board last time.
Farming community that's raising taxes.
It's just a matter, they don't, but they've not seen black and white,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that'll,
but that's only our black and white.
yeah.
And our fire department is working with us to keep us educated. That's a different fire department, so.
Too much drama over there right now for them to be educated. My
Well, I
personal
just,
opinion.
yeah, I started to say, the meeting that we had, it's just, I didn't see the negative side of doing this, so I don't know.
The last meeting that we had here was
No, yeah, at the
wasn't
fire
so,
station. At the fire station.
positive.
Really?
So,
Thank you, guys. But yes,
Thank
if
you.
anybody,
Thank you.
it would be helpful. If anybody can attend the Walnut Township Board
Wait,
meeting,
what time is it?
it is 6 PM, Mace Church. I've been asked to be there. The boards, the town board and the township board members have asked me to be there to answer questions. I'm not giving a presentation. To me, this is their department, their needs to figure out. I'm just there to answer, but they would probably love to hear from you guys to say, because why? You know what I mean? Why do you think it's a good idea? And again, every area has to figure out themselves. So it's.
What day did you say that was?
Tuesday, tax deadline, the 15th.
Hmm.
Tax day.
Yeah, 6
I mean, I don't
p.m.
think it would hurt for them to see something like this too. It's not theirs, but, you know, just to kind of, you know, maybe they need to do that so they
They
can see
do,
it.
and that's been
if they
told.
don't have that,
That has been told to them,
okay.
right?
Mhm.
Reggie and the fire department here has helped and encouraged and everything to, we're doing the work. Right? You guys feel like you're doing the work. I feel like
No,
I'm doing the
absolutely.
work. And that's their decision, that's their area. I tell them, I've told them logistically, this makes sense. It makes sense for us to logistically, we mutual respond, it makes sense. We know financially what we need. I don't know financially what they need, but I can only imagine. But they've never put it to this, to see and understand. I mean, they may have 60,000 in their bank and think, oh, that's enough. That's not enough. That is not enough. And, you know, they've gotten a lot of grants and they've been lucky because grants are just like winning the lottery. You can't depend upon it. If you got one, don't expect it ever again. It's gonna be once in a lifetime. But I think they're banking a lot on, well, we got grants, we'll just get grants, or we'll go out and fundraise more. And if, you know, and we'll just go door to door and ask people for more money. That's been their basis. And so, but I've let them know too, I've been honest that if they want to come in, that is great. It's a great combination. If they don't, that's okay. We'll be fine. And it doesn't fiscally benefit us for them to be in it.
And we can add them later. if we need to.
Exactly. I said, you know, and they have talked about the process that we went through, town to township, contract relationship with the fire department, which I think has worked wonderful. They're 3 years behind us. Would you say that?
Oh, yeah.
They're at least 3 years behind, and they almost need to take that step to get organized and get the communication together to understand the next step. Right now, there's just too much.
There's too much personal stuff over there. There's too much personal vendetta in that area right now for that to ever happen. Personally, that's my opinion.
So you're welcome if anybody'd like to come. I've been told there will be a crowd. So
Speaking of grants, there is a way you can request the fire department's help with a letter from your chief saying that the Douglas fire hydrants are rotten and people are dying in the streets because we don't have water. Something.
Something along those lines,
Yeah.
would help.
I'm so glad it's new information. And I need to put that on our thing.
Can we get hold of Reggie and have somebody write us a letter? Would that be acceptable?
For the grant, say that, you know,
I was-
showing that the fire
I see
hydrants
what
need
you're saying.
replaced. Yeah, yeah.
That's how bad it is.
Yeah, people are dying in the streets because of the
Do you
fire.
have Reggie's phone number?
Haven't.
You have it? Would it be all right if I call Reggie and ask you for some help?
I don't see why not. I
Okay.
mean,
All right, thank you. I'm
They
sorry.
need replaced, yeah,
Right.
so.
Heck, oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Went to
I'm
hook up to
sorry.
one that just toppled over, you know,
Exactly.
I know.
Okay, back to concession stand repair or replacement.
Well, apparently the roof needs replacing, there's a giant hole in it, so.
There's a hole in the roof?
No,
no, there's
on the,
holes in the side.
Oh, okay.
They're not giant, they're average size.
that's a pretty big hole, okay?
Are people dying?
I mean,
Dying in
we don't
the
know, we
streets
haven't
due to
served
that
them
hole.
anything yet this year.
Oh, Lord.
So Dwayne contacted Jake Bergdahl about getting a quote to redo the outside. So he's waiting to hear back. He talked to him yesterday. Did any of you guys go get a chance to go look at it?
I haven't got there yet.
If you wanna go in, you can get with the guys, they've got the key to,
Yeah.
if you wanna just look inside for whatever reason.
I do. So we will table that.
When's your first game?
They haven't put the schedule out for the games yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Moving right
I
along.
do need to ask you guys about how that works with the money that Jess donated for stuff for the field. Because I've got somebody, hopefully, if the rain holds off beginning of the week, that is gonna come do a deep recondition on both of those diamonds like they did at Southmont. $100 is all he's gonna charge us, and that's for fuel. He's gonna hook up his machine to a skid steer. We'll pull the bases, and he says it tills about 6 inches deep, and we'll pull all that old material that's been drove into the ground over time up. And then we will roll it to compact it, and then he will put a laser on it and grade it, and we'll see where the low spots are, and that will tell us how much topping material we need to get. Jess and I and Ronnie met up there and looked at those diamonds. I don't know, the vibe I got from Jess at that point was he just wanted to pay for people to do it, and he didn't want involved in the hands-on of doing it. Which is understandable. I know he's busy. He's out of town like every other week. So that's when I talked to CJ Mullet, he owns the Sugar Creek Hardscaping, is the one that's gonna recondition them for us. And then I have 2 people that are working on putting estimates together for replacing that mound. I know Ronnie and I kind of talked, for the price that you would be at for a portable mound. You're looking $2 to $3 grand for a good portable mound.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably get a permanent mound put in for less than $3 grand. I can't see spending $2 to $3 grand for a portable mound that's just gonna warp and get damaged over time. When we can have somebody put in a permanent mound for less than that, and it's in, it's done, and that eliminates other future issues.
Then what does that do with the connection to, the softball league?
Softball, the only field they've talked to us about using is the small diamond, and they said they would not use it unless it had lights.
Okay, gotcha.
Because they play later games and their games are longer times, so when you get towards certain times in the season, they use lights at Walnut and Newmarket. I know there's lights up there, but they're all facing towards the big diamond.
Okay,
I don't know if that's a possibility in the future to look at putting. I mean, I don't see why we would need huge lights like we have now. I mean, enough to, with the LEDs and stuff you can get now, I would think you could do enough lights to light that up pretty good for a reasonable price. And then I have Scott Lowe giving an estimate to fix the fence on both the backstops. One of them, the fence has peeled up off of the boards and the ball goes under it and into the crowd. And the other one, the top fence post, I'm guessing a clamp is broke because the post is falling down on the small diamond. So he was just gonna throw me a quick estimate together on fixing those issues so we could get everything fixed safety wise before season starts this year. And that will help a lot, but.
So I would just need an invoice that is made out to the town of Ladoga and make sure that you specify that that is
What it's for.
for the money that
Okay.
Testerman donated.
Items from the clerk treasurer. Nope. April, do you have anything?
Just that we have mailed out a postcard that has a survey that goes along with the water grant. The link for the survey is also on our website. And so everybody will probably be asking you guys about that. Just point in there and say, take it. Take the survey.
Town council, we have a letter from a concerned citizen. It was not signed. like to complain about 225 South Washington Street. Not only is a mess a huge eyesore for the town, the smell is awful, and it isn't even hot yet. I can only imagine how much worse it will smell on this side of town when summer rolls around. I'm hoping there is something that can be done about this. Thank you, a concerned citizen. Any comments there?
I've got a letter from Mary, it's kind of, or not a letter, sorry, a message from Mary that it was getting worse
Yeah.
by the day.
Yeah, exactly. I was talking to her the other day too. So.
And then, I had two people contact me that they are gonna try to get pictures. I need to get with Scott Lowe. That the Sweet Honey septic is
Yeah.
backing up to the fence there and just putting a hose in the creek and letting it drain.
Yeah.
The green hose that runs through that truck every evening.
Every evening?
Almost every evening I've seen it.
Yeah.
So that's the only concerns I got.
Yeah.
Yeah, James put something on Facebook, that just totally way, I mean, in response to what I said about animals on the S curve. And, I invited him to come to a meeting. I sent him a text, said, we'd love to have you at a meeting.
Yeah, well, we.
No answer back after that.
So that dumping issue, isn't that a?
He's supposed to take to Indianapolis. That's the only place you can get hose out of.
Yeah, it's a violation of
Isn't
EPA
that an
and
item?
IDM and,
Says
EPA
I
and
did.
IDM.
yeah.
Issue?
Who else?
EPA item,
Health
Department of
Health
Health.
Department.
Like
So
say,
they-
health department.
I mean, nothing can be done about it unless someone
Needs good
Exactly.
video.
tells the
or-
proper authorities.
We need some better pictures.
That's what I relayed to him and.
You know, the last one I saw,
Just have a
you
photo.
couldn't tell where the hose
No,
really went.
yeah, I think Rory is gonna try to get with Scott and say, hey, if you're down there, get us some proof.
'Cause I went down there right after that, and the truck was put up and the hose was wound
Yeah.
up, so, yeah. Okay. Tricia, do you have anything, you have, I know you had a meeting
I mean, it
yesterday.
wasn't on the agenda or anything, but I can share what, yesterday I met with Brian Foster of the Recovery Center and asked him a few questions. I know Sheriff Needham's already met with him and they've had discussions. I know Reggie's talked with them. I don't know if anybody else from the fire department has, but I asked some questions about different things. They did say that they were gonna start coming to more board meetings so they can, kind of stay informed on everything too. I asked about different things, one of them being transportation. They do have 2 vehicles that they use to transport their patients. Anytime anybody wants to leave, I asked them if they had the staff to cover taking somebody. He said they do. And he said they have only had one instance lately where somebody walked away. He did call Ryan because Ryan asked him to call if somebody did that. Otherwise, if they have a place to go, they will take them. If they do not have a place to go, if they happen to be homeless or what, just don't have a place to go, they actually drive them all the way downtown Indy to Wheeler. Because there is
Good.
not a place in Crawfordsville.
Mhm.
There's not a homeless shelter. I asked about medical staff, considering the number of calls they get for emergency services. They have NPs that they're not full-time, they're kind of in and out. They do have 24-hour nursing coverage, though. They do have an LPN and an RN that are on staff all of the time. And I did address a couple of separate issues that came up. One, he said he was unaware of the seizure issue. He said he wasn't aware that that person did not want the ambulance called, that they've dealt with this their whole lives and they have medication and they know how to handle it. That's been a repeated call, and he said he didn't realize that that person did not want them called or whatever. And I asked about, there was one with like blood sugar, you know, is there something that can be done that you have medical staff on hand? Can they, why can't they handle things like that? Like, you know, like we deal with that at home with my dad. Like we don't call somebody for that. I'm not a nurse, you know, it's, to me, it doesn't seem like an emergency if somebody's, you know. I said, well, you know, it would be different if, obviously you think it's life threatening to call. Obviously you want help. But he said they are currently kind of training a little bit more their staff on what to do in different situations, even the medical staff. So they're working on training there. He said they have been handling a lot more things in-house than they were. What else? I did ask if they have some sort of like policy book or what their policies were on different things, and they said they don't really have one per se for that kind of outlines like when you would call 911 or what you would handle in-house, that kind of thing. We talked about certain people being upset over people with criminal histories going there. Not that this matters, my personal opinion on it. People are concerned that felons are walking the streets of Ladoga because of this place. Felons are walking the streets of Ladoga because they live here.
Exactly.
Okay, that is a non-issue. I'm sorry, it is a non-issue. People with criminal histories are everywhere, you know, and this is a place that voluntarily takes people that are like, okay, I see, I have a problem. I need help. I'm willing to get it. Help them. Then maybe that will cut back on crime, because we all know that if there is a drug problem, there's going to be a crime problem. So maybe, you know, that to me is a little bit more of an answer than just don't take these people because they might have a criminal history. That to me is silly. But, you know, again, it's not a lockdown facility. They don't take people that are court ordered or what have you. That's not what they do. It's all voluntary. As far as their, and I think you might have talked to Reggie about that, like their, the layout of the building, the different sections, they didn't know that time that you guys went down there what the sections of the building were for the fire
The
alarm.
biggest issue with that is they reset the alarm before we got there, so we couldn't tell where the alarm was actually going off from.
Yeah, well, that's
They
what he
went in
said.
the
He
panel
said
and
somebody had turned the
reset it.
alarm off, so the doors had locked
Yeah.
again and all that
That
kind
and
of
they
stuff.
had put all the people back in the building before we had even gotten there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not really
Yeah, I
smart,
don't
but
know.
okay.
Yeah.
All clear.
Yeah.
Apparently they thought it was all
Who gave
clear.
that all clear? I don't know.
But they have, their maintenance staff working on mapping out the building and making sections, so that way when you guys do get a call that you can have a better idea of what section it may be.
But I don't think they realize those are smoke sensed alarm systems. They're not just pull systems.
Yeah.
And when you walk in and part of their staff's in the back of the dining area smoking by the door because it's raining, so they're inside, and all their patients are smoking by the door that's open on the other end of the building, there's a good
Set it
chance you
off.
could set an alarm off. I'm just saying. Smoke is smoke. It doesn't matter what it's from.
That's true. I think that was pretty much it. They're just trying to train and try to handle more things in house so they don't get as many calls down there. I guess staffing's not an issue as far as having enough people. It's just getting them all trained on what they want them to do and things like that, you know. It's still fairly new. Hopefully they can continue to improve upon.
Some of the calls are completely understandable, but
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you're
Well,
a
that's-
rehabilitation center and you're calling to get somebody transported for a medical detox, that's kind of why you're there. You have a doctor that is on your staff that is supposed to be helping detox that patient. Like, why are we taking them somewhere else?
They do not have a doctor on staff though.
See, but they told us they do.
They have a medical director who does not stay in the building. They are reachable by phone.
See, they told
The
us when we
RNs and the
first,
LPNs are there.
when we first went, they told us they had a doctor on staff. And they also told us that, let's see, there was a doctor on staff and that it was not a voluntary leave program. If if you sign up for the program, you have to stay until the program is over. Because that is part of why we were having so many suicidal calls. Because we had 2 patients say, I'm gonna cut my wrist and stab myself in the neck with this paperclip so I can go to the hospital, because they won't let me leave. Well, once you get to the hospital, you can sign yourself out and you're good to go. So I don't know if they've changed that, but yeah, when it first started, we were told that it was not a voluntary walkout situation. It was, once you sign up for the program, you're there for the program.
Yeah, he assured me that it was just, if they
Yeah,
wanna
that's
leave,
not
they can
what
leave.
The first guy that was here said, he said that you could, hey, they're allowed to leave anytime, we'll
Yeah,
give them a
because
ride
it's-
somewhere.
Yeah, because that's when that whole article came out where he talked to Ryan and stuff. We're like, that's completely different than what we were told when we took our tour there.
Well, and they're not a lockdown facility, so they can't do that. So. It's not court ordered that they can't
That's
hold
kind
on.
of what I thought, but
So, but yeah,
and I think there's just a lot of conflicting things there right now that this person doesn't know and this person doesn't either, so they.
well, yeah, and I know they've had some changeover in staff, obviously. I mean, every place is going to, but especially a newer place, but. I mean, Brightside, I think they've lasted longer than anybody else has tried to do that recently, so.
Sounds like they are trying to
Yeah,
make some
I think
improvements.
they're trying to, with all the meetings they've had with everybody, I really think they're trying to step up their game and try to get things organized with their staff.
So then, at the last meeting, you guys asked Dave to write a letter. He said he was working on it. Do you still want him to do that, or since you had the meeting, we're kind of wait and see?
I don't know if he already sent it or not.
He hasn't sent it yet. He was working on it.
I mean, he can still send it just so they know that, but I mean, I don't know if there's any more they can do than what they're doing right now with things, but I mean, I still think it probably wouldn't hurt just so they know that.
Anyone have anything else? A motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn this meeting. Excuse me.
I'll second.
Aye.
Thank everyone for coming.
Tuesday, next Tuesday.
I was watching
6
this,
p.m.
Oh,
that's, they said that 6 people.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, we're gonna have last week, no fight.